So this is in the 8th chapter, and it's about like graphing quadratic equations. We would have like graphed the linear equations earlier, right? Like which is like a straight line, and the linear equations are usually does not have that x square component. We would have like y is equal to x plus 2, or it will be like 2x plus 4, something like that, right? And the graphs would be just like a straight line going like in some kind of, there will be a slope and then it just goes like as a straight line. But for the quadratic equations, you have this x squared component, and we will draw a couple of graphs to see what we are observing first. Okay, so uh, let's just start with like y is equal to x square. So we will do a graph for y is equal to x square, and we will also do a graph for y is equal to 2x square. So how we start about this is like we make a table. So x, and this equation is going to y is equal to x square. Then as we are making the table simultaneously, we can also do y is equal to 2x square. Okay. So I'm gonna, and I always like recommend like starting with like having like some default values like 0 and -1, -2, and 1 and 2, because this should give you a good idea of like how your graph will be forming. Okay, so if x is -2 and your y will be 4, right? -2 square will be like 4. So if y is 4, here it's just like 2 times, right? So it will be 8. And then here, what will be the value? Just start giving me the values here. 1, and then it will be 2, right? Yeah, you're just like multiplying it by 2. So here, 0, and then it will be 1 here, and then we have it as 1, and then it is 2, and it would be, actually this is not 1, that will be 2, and the other one, so this would be a 2, and then this would be 8, right? So I would draw this in a blue color, and then this one I will do it as a red color. Okay, so this will be like the blue graph. So let's start doing the graph here. So when x is 0, it's a 0, so that's fine. And then when x is -1, so when x is -1, we have y as 1, right? And then when x is -2, y is actually 4. So it's 2, 3, 4. And when x is 1, y is 1. So you see that the points will be following exactly on the other side. Like it will be looking similar on the left and the right side of the y-axis. So when x is 2, y is, this is supposed to be a 4 here. I think we got it all mixed up here. So this is supposed to be a 4. Yeah. So now if we, and remember this point is also there. It will make like a U, and they call, actually this is called like a parabola. Okay. You don't make it like a V, it just has to like curve a little bit there, and then it looks symmetrical. So it's divided at the y-axis, and then it looks symmetrical. So y is equal to x square is this graph. Okay, I'm going to erase this equation too, so that we'll have enough room for drawing the blue graph right now. So the blue one would be when x is 0, it's a 0. We still have it as a 0. And then when x is -1, y is actually 2. So -1, y is 2. And then when x is negative 2, it is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we actually like go until here. And the same would be the case on this side also. So it will be when x is 1, y is 2, and then when x is 2, y will be 8. Right? So if you're a good artist, you can make a very good graph here. I am not a great artist, but so what do you observe here? What is your observation? Hmm. Hmm. Yes, it is steeper, yeah. So it actually we call it as like it narrows down versus like it opens up. So whenever you are having a coefficient for this x, it narrows it down. It actually narrows the graph so much. Okay. So if we draw one more graph, right? Let's do like a green one here. So if we are drawing like a green one, so where y is equal to negative x square. Okay. So when it's almost like the same value except we are going to like negate it, right? So here it will be negative 4 and then it's going to be like negative 1 and then 0. So negative 1, negative 4, right? So that's the green graph. So when it is negative 1, we would have it as negative 1 here, right? And for 1 also it is negative 1. And then for negative 2, we would have it as negative 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's the same on this side. So now what do you observe? Hmm. So if we are writing our quadratic equation, right, is actually ax square plus bx plus c. So we in this eighth chapter we will be observing how your quadrate, like how this graphs would look for all of these combinations whenever you are having so in these equations both b and c are actually 0, so we don't have the b component or the c component, we are having only like the a component here. And in the a also you see that when a is equal to 1, how your graph is actually behaving, it's little wider. And when a is like negative 1, it is going like the opposite direction. And when a is greater than 1, it actually starts narrowing down. Okay. So some of the I would say like try to without looking at the book, try to add some values to the b component and then some values to the c component, and then see observe like how these graphs are actually moving. Because when you just like do that, you will be able to like understand that first three chapters like much faster. So there are some terms here that we can like look into the terms of this graph. So this is the axis of symmetry. So this y-axis here is the axis of symmetry. Do you know why it is called the axis of symmetry? Hmm. Hmm. Yes, yes. So it actually this is where like the graph makes the both halves of the graphs to be exactly similar. So that's the point of separation. So that's the axis of symmetry. And this point, which is like the highest or the lowest point. Okay, so for each of these graphs, we can say that's the highest point or the lowest point is called the vertex. Okay, so this is the axis of symmetry, and this is the vertex. And when the graph is like going like this, because you can easily say that like this graph is like decreasing on this side, right? You know where the graphs actually start. So this is decreasing, and then in this side it is increasing. Okay, and this whole graph is called like the parabola. Yeah, it's a U-shaped graph. And this is what you would get for the quadratic equations. Okay, so next class we would actually like look it into more detail. First, we will start adding the C component to it to see how the graphs are like shifting, and then we will add like the B component to the equation, and then see how the graphs are getting moved. But we will be developing on top of these graph values only.